Hello and welcome to Lesbian Talk, episode 105, where Spock's brain is kidnapped by a race of attractive women so that it can power their central computer because they're all fucking morons, meaning that Dr. McCoy has to remote control Spock's body in order to get the brain back.
All this and more on the next episode of Soap. Ha! You were going for something really dramatic and I ruined it by quoting Soap.
I was describing an actual episode of classic Star Trek. That
Confused? You won't be.
That was Spock's brain, like the first episode of season 3 of classic Star Trek.
You know what I want to get? I heard there's a digitally remastered version of the, not digitally remastered, but a remastered version of the animated series.
I have that on DVD.
Oh, great! I'll watch it.
It's not in the flat but it's with most of my DVDs. But I have a copy of the animated series.
We have so many DVDs right now, you guys, and it's not even a fraction of what she actually owns.
I own a lot of DVDs.
So
it's very useful when you have to like search through things for clips, for reviews, I'll tell you that much.
Unless you can't find the disc, like a lot of times people be like, I've been looking for 17 hours for this one thing. And I'm like, oh,
because I'm allergic to alphabetizing my DVDs.
I'm gonna do it. When we finally have a house big enough that like, I'm just gonna and you can separate them out by sections, like to review, or like to watch and then sell, or that, and I'll just alphabetize them all. Maybe within section though.
That's fine.
All of the alphabets will be mine. I love to organize, you have no idea. Nah, but so how are you, audience? It's been a week. How are you guys doing?
A week or so.
Well, yeah. Speaking of DVDs.
I did not watch any movies about Nazi vengeance. And my life is feeling so much worse right now. Although I did watch Phantasm Ravager.
Everyone talked in the comments a lot about Nazis, but nobody mentioned Nazi ghost toilets, and that was kind of sad.
I watched Phantasm Ravager.
How was that?
That was fine.
Oh, it was fine, so it was.
Well, it was... The Phantasm series, it was deliberately done to feel dreamlike and ethereal, and it is easily the weirdest of the 80s horror franchises that did well. Easily. And the sequel sort of added on to that, and so if you try to watch Phantasm Ravager without watching the earlier ones, you'll be completely fucking lost. I mean, I've seen all of them. I have the ball set of the first 4, which is like one of their big flying...
The ball set?
Yeah, one of the things in Ravager, one of the things in Phantasm, the villain, the tall man, he's an army of evil corpse dwarves from another reality, but he also has these balls, these silver balls that fly around with spikes in the end, and they grab onto your head and they drill into your brain and suck your blood. Because it's Phantasm.
See, I thought you said ball sack at first.
No, ball set.
Okay.
So it is a replica of a Phantasm ball, killer ball, with the 4 films inside.
That's kind of neat.
It's really cool. I have it. It's beside my.
They should sell all the Pokemon series like that in a giant Pokeball.
That would be cool.
People would buy the shit out of that.
The best of those sets I ever saw. I don't have it. It was a replica Xenomorph head with all the Alien films.
Wow.
But my Phantasm ball is and it's right next to my Hellraiser, puzzle box set. But I have seen all the Phantasm films. I like it enough to have bought that set, and yet I found Phantasm hard to follow, given that you've got 3 possible realities and you don't know which is real. But that's Phantasm. Like, one of them, where the main character Reggie is an old man suffering from early onset dementia in an old person's home. Then the other one where he's with a bunch of soldiers who are defeating in a post-apocalyptic Earth, defeating the tall man's forces. And then there's another one where he's running around the desert, and it might be the modern day. Now, admittedly, I was editing my Necromentia review while I was watching it, so possibly my mind's strayed a bit, because Necromentia is basically the redneck Hellraiser.
Necromentia? Wait, who did you cross over with that?
Gorehounds on YouTube. He's really good. He does Hellraiser reviews.
Really great. He's like
basically,
Scottish and awesome.
Imagine Robin the Minion crossed with Owen Citizen.
But with a Glasgow accent.
Yeah. But Ravager, I found it confusing, but I think it's really sad that, the last Phantasm film came out in the late 90s. They were supposed to make one. The guy who wrote Pulp Fiction, Roger Avery. He wrote a script for Phantasm 5, and they couldn't get the money together. And for 15 years, they were trying to get the money together to do.
15 years, they tried to get the. I'm helping.
To get the money
together.
To get the
money together. And. All right, go on.
They finally, this was filmed apparently in 2013 with a very small budget. The exact same budget the first one was made in the 70s. That's not counting inflation. So $300,000 then, $300,000 now.
So basically, tonight we're cancelling the Phantasm.
And they didn't have much money. It's really sad. I mean, J.J. Abrams apparently wanted to play Phantasm for his people who work at his film company for a laugh. You know, we wanted an HD version, found out there wasn't one. So contacted Don Coscarelli.
He's like, I'll handle this. J.J. Abrams on the case.
He contacted Don Coscarelli about, give me an HD copy, please. A full, cinematic quality, remastered copy. And Coscarelli's like, dude, I don't have the money for that. It doesn't exist. So Abrams let him basically remaster.
Don't worry, I'm J.J. Abrams.
Let him remaster the first film, basically for free.
Aww.
So J.J. Abrams is he a big...
So he's not worthy of all the slack that you give him.
I give him shit for ruining Star Trek, which he did.
But the third movie was so good.
But he's a big enough Phantasm fan to do that, and yet no one in Hollywood would give Don Coscarelli and the guy who ended up directing Phantasm more than $300,000 to make Phantasm 5. All they needed for the original Phantasm's end script was apparently about $1 million, and no one would do it.
And that's not actually a lot of money in Hollywood.
I know. It's like, not to besmirch Peter Jackson, but the guy is a massive nerd and huge film buff. If I was in his position and I had about $500 million, I would just scour around for interesting sounding projects and be like, yeah, I'll give you $10 million for that. Yeah, I'm quite interested in seeing a giant spider fight a Nazi on the moon.
It's always Nazis.
I don't know. I do not understand why he doesn't do that. So Ravager, it's partially because how everyone's so old, and partially because the film is deliberately done to be quite depressing and sort of dour. It was a bit sad.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry you feel this way about Phantasm. I mean, I feel this way too. No, actually, I don't.
It was fine. It was better than a possible remake would be, probably.
Fair play. Well, a lot of things are better than a possible remake.
Yeah, horror franchises. Remakes are rarely any good, but that's usual. However, long-awaited horror sequels generally are quite good. Phantasm Ravager, not the best, but it's still okay. Curse of Chuckie, Evil Dead 4, which was not a fucking remake, it was a sequel. Even the Hellraiser, Hellraiser Revelations, which, the fact, okay, clearly no budget.
He's still writing books, though. One just came out last year.
But he had nothing to do with the Hellraiser films after 3. But
by he, I mean Clive Barker, obviously.
But Revelations,
not like some guy we know.
You ignore the fact they got rid of Doug Bradley, and you ignore the fact that the budget is clearly minuscule. Everyone else gave their all for that film. It was much better than you expected. It was better than half the Hellraiser sequels. Long-awaited horror sequels, they're generally good. I mean, Child's Play's done this twice.
I've never seen any of the Child's Play movies.
They did the original 3. Which was 1, 2, and 3, and then they waited about 5 years, and they came out with Bride of Chuckie. Bride of Chuckie is fucking awesome.
Isn't it apparently really funny? Like dark humor, taking the piss kind of.
Yes, the first 3 were done seriously, even though it was ridiculous because it's a doll. The fourth one. I
was never allowed to see Child's Play because it was quite similar, and I'm pretty sure it was spoofing the toy was My Buddy and Kid Sister. I always wanted My Buddy. I did not want Kid Sister because I was given a kid sister and I wasn't impressed.
Apparently
like an actual flesh and blood sister, not like...
Apparently the original script was parodying Cabbage Patch Dolls, but they changed it, the design to be more like that.
My Buddy. But, yeah, see, my parents were like, we need to talk to you. And I'm like, okay. And they're like, we're gonna have another child. You're gonna have a sister. And I was like, when's she arriving? This is fantastic. Because I immediately had a mental image of me sitting on the ground playing checkers with somebody my age. And nobody at any point in time stopped to tell me that that's not how things worked. Like, I hadn't got the birds and the bees explained to me. Like, my parents didn't even go into the stork, okay? Like, my sex education was basically one time I was in first grade, and I was like, how does a baby bee? Where does it come from? Who puts it in the mom's tummy? And I asked my mom, I'm like, so how does this all work? My mom's like, the science book that's on your shelf? I'm like, yeah. She goes, go get that and read chapter 3. And then come find me if you have any questions. And I was like, okay. And then, so I understood, by then I understood, how the cell divides and the two gametes and zygotes and stuff come together and reproduce. But, no, the book didn't actually explain the process of heterosexual sex. So.
But it did ironically explain fisting.
It did not. It also explained how to make salt crystals. It did.
That's an important part of heterosexual sex.
That was in chapter 5, and you could make a potato clock in chapter 7.
Potato cock in chapter 3 if you read it right.
Oh, but no, like, so one time this 5th grader was sitting next to me on the bus, and I was in 1st grade. It's like, "Hey, 1st grader," she goes. I'm like, "Yeah, bitch, you don't even know where babies come from."
Albuquerque.
No, and I was like, "Nah, they come because the sperm and the egg get together, and they double a whole bunch until it makes a baby." And she's like, "Okay, well, how did the sperm and the egg get together?" And I was like, because I didn't know. And so I think about it.
They had a party.
Have I told the story before on Lesbian Talk?
To me, yes.
Probably.
To Lesbian Talk, I have no idea.
I have to tell the story before at the show. And so, like, I didn't really know because it didn't go into sex. Like, I didn't know that a penis was a thing or that it had a purpose. You know, it just wasn't even a part of my life in 1st grade.
Well, that's probably a good thing in retrospect.
But I knew that people got married and had children, so I know that romance was involved in some kind of way. And I had this, I'm a visual thinker, so I had this flash association of that, like the famous silhouette of a girl in a poodle skirt and a guy, you know, like dressed like a sock hop guy at the diner sharing like a fountain drink, you know, with the 2 straws. It was just a silhouette because the 50s revival was very much alive in the mid-80s. You have to understand, like Grease and all that kind of stuff. And so I was like, well, maybe if they go on a date, right, and then they share a soda, then the little sperm will go through the straw and into the other straw. And she just kind of looked at me like, oh my god. And like only, you know, years later, like was it actually the process was explained to me. I was like, oh, I guess I looked like a real idiot in 1st grade to that 5th grader on the bus then. I don't know how we started talking about sexual education.
Because I was trying to give my in-depth reviews of the Child Play series.
Oh,
go on. Left.
Well, you've been talking a lot about horror, and I've been drinking, so.
Bride of Chuckie was very good, fucking hilarious, awesome. Seed of Chuckie, much maligned.
Speaking of sex.
They do have they have a son in that. They have a son. They have a daughter. They have someone with dissociative personality disorder. Is the daughter's
named Barbie?
No,
Stacy, because Stacy's the little sister.
No, they have someone with dissociative personality disorder.
Do they think that they're a GoBot?
No, but Billy Boyd, Pippin from Lord of the Rings, does the voice.
Seriously?
And it's the one body. It's the son and the daughter. The daughter is the crazy violent one, and the son's all peaceful and loving. And so eventually.
So this sounds like basically like an actual Cabbage Patch.
No, but at the end, basically they all get transplanted their souls into human bodies, and so they get the soul of the child gets split into two, and give to 2 human bodies. But Seed of Chuckie is incredibly tongue-in-cheek and bizarre. It's still cool. And then, of course, Curse of Chuckie. It's not groundbreaking. It's basically going back to square one. Chuckie kills people, and it's still very solid.
See, I like more, like, psychological horror. Like The Orphanage, and, like, I didn't like that. It scared the shit out of me, but, and, like, I really enjoyed the others.
Oh, the others was cool.
Mummy, what's the soundtrack?
Mommy, why are you married to the doctor?
Well, no, it was... Oh, I forgot it was... No, I went to see it with a friend of mine, my friend Sam, and there's just, like, the wee boy's like, Mummy, what's this? What's the Holy Spirit? Because their mom's, like, way religious. If you've never seen the others, go do it. Keep in mind that that came out while Moulin Rouge was in theaters, so basically you saw Nicole Kidman actually can act in a variety of ways, but...
Plus, if you haven't seen the others, keep this in mind before you watch it. It's set on one of the Channel Islands, the only part of the United Kingdom that was conquered by the Nazis. Right. So it's not a case of they're in France and you've Jersey? Got... Yeah, probably. But it's not a case of translation convention, they're French, but they're speaking with English accents. Yeah, no, they're actually British people.
English. But yeah, so the little wee boy's like, Mummy, what's the Holy Spirit? Mummy, why are the doves on the wind? And finally my friend Sam gets me, because like all the time, like you hear in the background, and the soundtrack is being like, Mummy, what's the soundtrack? And I was like, and I got shushed by the person in front of us.
I remember the others was the genesis for possibly the only funny joke in any of the Scary Movie films. What was it? Which is when you've got the bit when you've got the little girl sort of being like, and she's covered in the shroud, and you've got the ghost possessed. And then, of course, it's revealed that it's actually Michael Jackson.
That is
So you
horrifying.
pull it up and it's like, oh no, it's Michael Jackson. I never touch her. I only like boys.
Are you my money? Oh, it was really good.
So I told you what the line was. I wouldn't touch her. She's a girl.
Michael Jackson was probably a pedophile. Actually, I don't really believe he was a pedophile in the classic sense. I believe he had a lot of mental issues, but I don't believe he was a classic child predator. That he did inappropriate things with children, I do not doubt, but... Well, he's dead now, so...
Yeah.
So anyway, but yeah, I really enjoyed the other. I got it on DVD when it was one of the first DVDs that I got when I got my PS2.
I have it on DVD as well.
It was just really good because it had a very Victorian feel to it, even though it was set in the 40s. And I really liked that. I really appreciated that.
Yeah.
And apparently the genetic disorder those kids had, it's a real thing. Because I remember on the DVD...
Oh, the sunlight thing.
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called. I wouldn't say osteogenesis imperfecta, but that's what the kid and the bad guy from Unbreakable had. But it's something. Google it. I'm sure you'll be able to find it. But like children who are actually very allergic to sunlight, and it's really sad. But the original DVD release of the others came with a wee documentary about these families who would get together, kind of like at a midnight summer camp, for a week once a year, somewhere like up in the Arctic Circle, not that far, but like somewhere where there was very long nights. And like this was like the only time that these kids would get to interact with other kids like them. It was really sad, but it's also kind of like, how would you live like that? Oh, stop it.
I also watched while I was editing this wonderful documentary on H.P. Lovecraft I found on YouTube, put up by the makers, by Snag Films.
I love that.
It's called Lovecraft,
watch
Fear
this for
of
free.
Fear of the Unknown, Fear of the Dark, something like that. And it's got John Carpenter, it's got Stuart Gordon who did Reanimator, it's got Guillermo del Toro, it's got Robert Price, who apparently is really, really interesting when he's talking about Lovecraft, and is batshit crazy when he talks about politics. You got a bunch of different people. It's really in depth. Goes through all his entire life, his entire over, talking about influences and stuff like that. And check it out, guys. It's really cool.
Speaking of horror, because we are, there's a really great horror podcast, Pseudopod. It's one of the Escape Pod family of podcasts, and they're in their 10th year, and they've always paid their authors pro rates. I sold them a short story in 2008, actually. You can Google it, The Sons of Carbon County, and you can listen to it if you like. But so they want to extend pro rates to their illustrators, to their narrators, to pretty much every creative person they work with. So they're doing a 10-year Kickstarter. If you go on Kickstarter, just search Pseudopod, and it should come right up. Share about it if you can't afford to give some. If you can't afford to give some, that's great.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
Yeah, they've commissioned this really amazing horror mug that I really wish that I had the spare cash to get that level of it, because I really want it, but rent. Food. But yeah, so if you can be a part of that, definitely be a part of that. They've got like 26 days to go, and they're about a third of the way there, so.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pseudopod's good.
But speaking of DVDs, we went on an epic odyssey today.
Yeah, here's what I do. When I buy films, generally after I've watched them, I decide, am I going to put this in the review pile? Am I going to put this in the keep pile? Or am I going to put this into the sell pile? I actually have a fourth pile as well now, which is to be given out at cons as prizes.
Which is kind of cool. So if you see her at a con, be like, I want a prize.
Well, generally it's not that. It's like for the Cards Against Humanity games.
Yeah, I know, but sometimes you have extra things. You just be like, here, it's random. Be like, oh my gosh, it's T-Bone Noggin. This is the best thing ever. Like, would you like a prize?
Oh yeah, occasionally, yeah, I'll do that. But so I had about 8 or 9 months worth of DVDs and games and stuff that I'd collected in this gigantic fucking bag. So we had to carry it between us. We should have taken a picture. We had to carry it between us, and
literally one each having a strap. Like we were bearing the child Moses to the Nile or something like that.
It's huge.
All the way up to CEX.
Admittedly, it's only about a 10-minute walk.
Right, but it felt like more.
But ended up selling about £120 of stuff. Which I got in store credit because I'm a genius.
Yeah, if you take store credit, you get more from CEX.
And because I was expecting between 60 and 80, I guessed. So I was really happy that I got this extra stuff. So I was like, Omega, choose a video game of your choice.
You did it so magnanimously, like some wealthy philanthropist. Go on, choose from any of them. It is all right. I've got this one.
I'm surprised you didn't choose Mafia 3 because you're all like, it's scandalous. There's a Belfast one in there. It's because racism.
I read in the Independent that it would cause contention in the UK, in the North, because there's sectarian implications. Well, Yahtzee
Made me
reviewed
want
it.
to play it.
Well, yeah, Yahtzee reviewed it, and the thing is that, like, I was thinking about it. First of all, it was also, like, what, £45?
Yeah, that's way expensive.
Yeah, I mean, I do want to play it. I'll play it eventually, just not now. The one I wanted to get was the PS3 Kingdom Hearts 1, 2, and a half release, but they didn't have it. And it's a good thing they didn't have it, because then I get home and come to find out they're putting out the entire series on PS4 next spring. So I'm like, oh, I'll just wait. But, yeah, I went up and looked at the DVDs. You were like, do you want any games? Because we have my brother-in-law's PS3 in the bedroom. We have my PS4. And I was like, no, that's something I really want. They're like, are you sure? And I'm like, well, there are a few things, but it's still a bit pricey. They've got the Order 1886 for £12, and I promised myself, I made a solemn vow that I would not play it until it dropped to a $5.
And so far, she's on target for that.
Yep. But so, you were like, no, really, pick anything. I have more than enough store credit. So, I'm holding it right now. We picked up a copy of No Man's Sky. And before you fill up the comments, be like, no, Omega, don't do it.
Honey, not enough people listen to us to fill up comments.
Yeah, that's true. Before you and your friends comment several times, don't do it. I know what I really, basically...
You fly around and visit planets, and it's a really, really vast fictional universe.
Well, there's that, but I love resource management games. I really like boring organizational games. And apparently, my supervisor Garvin's like, oh, well, if you like that, it's all that and more for you. So, I like that kind of thing, and I don't really have a lot of time to sink into video games right now, so it'll probably have to wait until November, right before the term ends.
I really hope there's no, necessary patch before you can play it, because
it's
just fucking ridiculous, guys. Our internet, our router is not picked up by the PlayStation. It's like a 5, the PlayStation's a 2.
It's a 5 gigahertz. It's broadcasting on a 5 gigahertz, and apparently PS4
my
doesn't
PC and the PlayStation will not pick up the internet. So I really hope you can play immediately.
You should try using my dongle, because I think my dongle picks up a 5 gigahertz.
Well, I will do it at some point, but right now...
it's just easier to hardwire. Like, my PC's hardwired into the modem.
Yeah. My one's right next to the router, so I can just take it from yours and put it in there when I need it. I only need it for brief periods.
Basically, really, all we have to do is get a really long, like a 6-foot Cat5, run it along the corner and around the back into the unit. It's just I have to go on Amazon and get one, because otherwise it'll be really expensive to do it in town.
But she got No Man's Sky, and I got a puzzle game, not realizing it was for the 3DS, and all I have is a DS, so I'm like, making it to this my mother. No, I'll just have to give it to my mom, see if she wants it.
Yeah, but your mom likes puzzle games too.
Yeah, I don't know if she has a 3DS though. But I also picked up, for very cheap, a copy of Tarzan Sings...
I'm holding it right now.
A copy of Tarzan Sings Immortals on Blu-ray. Good. Tarzan Sings Immortals is not very good.
I enjoyed it.
It's visually stunning, just like everything he does.
It's got you can download your own digital copy, as though ripping it for free is not a thing.
It's a stunning piece of work, visually, like, well, all of Tarzan Singh's films, until he made Selfless, which I watched last night, and Jesus Christ, it's like he got bored with being artistic.
I really enjoyed Immortals, because I went and saw it in the theater, and it's got the stuff that he's known for. You didn't like the script, but then again...
I don't like the script of any of his films.
The script is, that's how you would expect people to talk in Antiquity.
No, it's
like hearing an American accent in fantasy. You're like, what is happening here?
I'm not just talking about the dialogue. One of my main issues...
This is why I can never be in Game of Thrones.
One of my main issues with Immortals is the fact that the villain, who's trying to release the Titans and destroy the world and stuff, is called Hyperion. Hyperion's the name of a Titan. I was sure it would be revealed at the end that he was actually a Titan who had gone undercover as a human and was trying to free his people.
Because he revered the Titan, so he took a Titan's name.
So it's like, that's just one of the little things that irritates me.
Basically, honey, that's
not a good script.
The classical version of I hope Senpai notices me.
It's not a good script. Suppose the Titans were...
It was a good... You know what? We picked up the Blu-ray, UK release Blu-ray for £2. Go out and find it. I'm sure you'll... Or watch the trailer on YouTube.
It's amusingly ridiculous. It looks stunning. It's just not... It's as accurate to Greek mythology and possibly even less accurate than Clash of the Titans remake.
Well, I'm just saying. I'll lend it to my friend Aaron. Oh, so I almost got into a Twitter altercation with Vincent D'Onofrio.
Oh, yes.
I followed him. Was like, oh, I love him. He's on Twitter. And then he tweeted about his dog in the exact same way that Todd in the Shadows is always tweeting about Kali and Amy. And so I quote retweeted, and I was like, when celebrities tweet like Todd. And then he replies back, so what of it? And I was like, well, no, you see, my friend tweets about his dog all the time too, because he really loves her, smiley face. And then I went to bed. And apparently and I like woke up in the morning and I checked my email and I had a Twitter notification from Todd being like, what in God's name is going on? I'm like, oh shit. And so he responded, he's like, I think you might be trying to spread negativity. Are you trying to make fun of me? And then everyone was like, no, sir, this is Todd in the Shadows, and he tweets about his dogs. And Todd's like, I tweet about my dogs all the time. They're really great.
Here's a gif of them shaking their heads.
And then so he replies to me, he's like, actually, I think that you might just be spreading positive stuff. You like good things like me. That's cool. Have a great day. And I'm like, squee. And I'm like, that's exactly, pets all across Twitter. Here's a picture of my wife's cat. And he's like, oh, what a sweetie. And so now Murray has officially been called a sweetie by Vincent D'Onofrio. And that's the story of how I almost got into a Twitter feud with a celebrity that I did not intend at all. I was like, oh my God.
I should put on my copy of Ed Wood and be all like, Murray! The body of Orson Welles likes you.
Vincent D'Onofrio is awesome. Wesley, we have to tweet about dogs for the good of Hell's Kitchen, Wesley.
Did you know that Vincent D'Onofrio played Thor in Adventures in Babysitting?
Seriously?
Yeah.
I vaguely remember that movie. You know what? I think we watched it on VHS at Carol Connor's daycare one time.
No, that was Vincent D'Onofrio.
No fucking way.
So apparently, if you're listening to this, Chris Hemsworth, give it 30 years and you could be Vincent D'Onofrio.
Yeah.
You could be Kingpin.
That'd be pretty cool. Like how Chris Evans has been the Human Torch.
Oh yeah, that's why I cannot wait. I'm really sad that the guy who played the Human Torch in Phantasm was not cast as Isaiah Bradley in the MCU, because he was the black Captain America who was the first Captain America, but it didn't work properly. And he was in a miniseries called Red, White, and Black, and it was basically a takeoff of it was inspired by the Tuskegee Airmen.
Oh, okay.
It basically. Was it Tuskegee Airmen or was it Tuskegee sort of syphilis thing? It was basically this poor guy was given a version of the superhero serum as the first, guinea pig to make sure it worked, and it didn't work.
That's so that the American government would do. We can't waste this on a white soldier. Hey, you come here. That's horribly racist, but that's exactly what we do.
And I mean, it worked in that it made him strong and everything, but then it destroyed his mind. And he basically became, he had the mental age of like a 6-year-old after that. And so it was...
Did Captain America help him?
Well, Captain America was all like, oh my God, oh, I'm so sorry, blah, blah.
Did he give him money and like make sure he had a good place to live? And
apparently Isaiah Bradley did okay-ish. I think he might have died later on. But I really wanted to see flashbacks to World War II of Michael something? Richards? No, Michael Richards is the guy from Kramer. The guy from Human Torch from Phantasm playing Isaiah Bradley. That would be the funniest in-joke ever. In the same way, I want Charlie Cox to play Batman at some point in the future.
Who's he?
He's TV Daredevil.
Oh, that'd be funny. Well, I was talking to my supervisor Garvin, and we bring him up a lot in the show because he's really into...
Because he says, where?
That's just my impersonation of him. No, because he's really into geek stuff, and it's really nice having a supervisor that will stop you from doing work so you can all stand around and chat about the newest Marvel movie or video game or thing that happened on the internet. And so I got in, the other day to work, and he was on his break, and I was like, I saw Doctor Strange with my wife last night. He's like, oh, what'd you think? Because Owen saw it, and he thought it was good, and so, we're having the crack. I said, well, if I had, it was hard-pressed to say. I said, I guess if I had to criticize it, I'd say that, the bad guy had very little motivation. He was kind of like, I hate everything, and thus I'm a bad guy now. And Garvin says, well, like he always does.
Yeah, the comic book, the little prequel comic book, which gives information they probably should have had in the film, was that his entire family died, and he went there to try and get the power to bring them back, and then the Ancient One refused to let him have access to that sort of magic, and then he found out the Ancient One was using evil magic to stay immortal, so that's why he wanted to use that to make everyone immortal. Mm-hmm. So they should have had that information in the film.
But yeah, so Garvin was like, well, that's a big problem in a lot of Marvel movies is, you have Loki, but he's kind of an anti-hero. I said, yeah, you know what, I think they kind of maybe ran out of luck when they got rid of all, they just had killed off all their Nazis, because basically, like, Red Skull, he's like, I'm a Nazi, and you could just stop right there. Like, you know, it's really great, because, like, oh, the Nazis are still around, they're just called Hydra now, like, oh, they're Nazis? No explanation needed.
Omega's not been watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., so she doesn't realise that Hydra actually predated the Nazis and is several thousand years old.
I haven't watched
cult
it
that
yet.
worshipped an immortal called Hive. Sorry, an inhuman called Hive.
Spoilers. But so basically, they're kind of like one of the branches of Pentex in World of the Apocalypse. They serve one of the triadic worms. But anyway,
but apparently the Red Skull's version of Hydra was a little bit different, and one of the reasons that the Zola turned against him was because he was all like he perverted it and made it different. Well, they were.
I was just thinking, like, you know, we're gonna reach the point, chronologically speaking, where we won't have the Nazis to kick around anymore. Like, I mean, they're such an easy bad guy because they did really, really, really horrific things. They were beaten by a coalition of nations who were totally in the right to do so. So they're, like, basically instant bad guys. Like, I mean, even last week, you know, like, oh, well, they're bad guys because they're Nazis reincarnated. But, like...
No, they were the victims.
Yeah, I know, but, like, still you could use the trope of, oh, he was a Nazi in a previous life, but now he's still a bad guy. But, like, eventually we're going to reach the point where there are no more people living who served during the Second World War. I mean, unfortunately, that will eventually be the way.
Well, then it's very nice of, you know, the world right now to be providing us with so many crazy fascists who are taking control and getting power right now because who are wanting to become the new Nazis.
So wait a minute. So, like, will Marvel, like, Phase 57, like, when we're in the old folks' home, be like, don't worry, it's me, Captain America. I'll stop you, Kim Jong-il the 17th, who's a cyborg.
Probably not Kim Jong-il the 17th, but I would not be surprised in 60 years, assuming the human race hasn't, you know, managed to kill itself, that someone makes movies about the evilness of people who are current political figures.
Oh, God.
Possibly even one who's running for president right now.
I want to see Captain America punch Donald Trump in the face.
The comic probably will do that at some point.
Or just shove him, but, like, Iron Man is, like, kneeling behind him, so he falls down and trips over Iron Man.
Well, you know, to be
really
fair,
great.
Captain America, he...
Then Loki's like,
Captain America in the comics, he was against Nixon, and he gave up being Captain America out of disgust for the U.S. government because of Watergate. And then they revealed that Reagan was actually a supervillain in one issue of in the 80s.
No, the Great Forgetter.
He was a
that was mean.
supervillain
I'm
of some
sorry.
sort.
The poor man had dementia. I'm sorry. I take it back. That was uncalled for.
I would not be surprised if Marvel, if they did something involving Trump.
I hope. Oh, we can only hope. Stanley, get on that. You're old. He can't do anything to hurt you.
But they'd probably...
You have basically, like, offend immunity.
But if they're going to do it, they would probably wait until he actually got elected.
I thought you were saying until he actually dies. He's 70. It'll happen eventually.
Yeah.
Oh my God, we lost so many good people this year, and yet we still have fuckers like him. Like, I got really drunk one night. This was well before I moved over here. Got really drunk one night. I think it was like maybe a month before I moved over. And I thought to myself, I would, like, if the devil or like an alien that had such abilities or like some metaphysical being said to me, you will now die 365 days before your natural lifespan would have ended. This will happen, and you can bring people, you can bring people back to life. And I thought to myself, if I could sacrifice a year of my life and bring Robin Williams and Justin back, I think it would be, well, because, this was...
Given how they died, are you sure they'd want to?
Well, okay, knowing that this is at the time, knowing what I now
at the same time,
knowing what I now know, that he had Lewy body dementia and really there was nothing that could have been done, I would have, because
if you can fix the things that drove them to the action.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, like, I mean, like, you'd have to do stuff like that's like when you were a little kid. You're like, okay, what if I had superpowers except for I could do this and this and this and this, but I could also, like.
I try to work out how awesome life could be if I had Kilgrave's powers. From Jessica Jones.
Oh yeah.
I'd
always be I'd always be the first one in the queue.
I'd travel over to Washington D.C. and I'd be doing all sorts of interesting things, such as why did you name Bernie Sanders your vice president? Oh, look, Hillary Clinton, sort of arrange things so that...
It just shows you, like, what we want out of life. You were making, like, grand strides for world justice. I'm like, I'd be the first in every queue I was in.
Well,
Tell you what,
could do so much in good. Plus...
I'd be selfish.
Having seen
I'd be like Anakin Skywalker misusing the Force.
Having seen Jessica Jones, Kilgrave does sort of waste
looks like a really great sandwich. Give it to me before you bite out of it.
Yeah, that's basically what he does. He's like, I like your jacket, give it to me. He plays cards with mafia guys and gets millions, and then it's like, admittedly, he doesn't actually need a lot of money because all he needs to do is say something and he can get more. But he could be doing such interesting things, and if I tried to do that sort of thing, I would probably accidentally unleash worse things, and it would be through trying to do right, which that's hubris of all kinds.
Is that an actual trope, like a superhero trope, like trying to do good but it all backfires on you?
I don't know if it's a superhero trope, but it's a trope in fiction.
I'm thinking a lot about superheroes. People don't write novels about superheroes.
Not often, no.
I kind of want to. Like, I have one in mind that I've been kicking around for, Jesus Christ, at least 10, 15 years. And then every time we see a new Marvel movie, I'm like, when am I going to write that? But,
I would try to fix the world, and I would probably make it worse. But at least I would have tried. Which would have been cold comfort to the people who are dead afterwards.
We're in a lovely mood.
It's almost as depressing as last week.
It's late at night because I realized, oh shit, we were supposed to record Lesbian Talk tonight. Crap.
And she'd already started drinking, so...
I'm not drinking that much. Well, no,
she's like, I'm training to be an alcoholic. I'm going to be a pro one day.
I had a very difficult day because, so last night I texted a friend of mine. Basically, there's this girl who is in my class, and she's very brilliant. And so basically, we're rivals. But we know that we're rivals, so we collaborate. Because we figure that, like, I have strengths that she doesn't. She has strengths that I don't. So, basically, we know that our professors know what we're capable of and are looking after both of us. So, there's no reason for us to be, like, actual rivals. So, I texted her and I was like, I kind of don't want to... I think I'm not going to go to class tomorrow. Because it's our dissertation module. She and I have been working on our dissertation since the summer. So, we've already done our ethics. So, we don't really need to worry about that. And... so today's lecture was on qualitative analysis, which is not statistics, it's sitting down and conducting interviews, which is something that I'm probably never going to be doing.
Words.
Exactly. No, like, pretty much. And so she was like, yeah, but, the professors are really expecting us to go. I'm like, you and me, you mean, like, to set an example? She's like, no, the whole class. And I was like, well, all right. So I got up at 7, and I got a shower, and I walked 25 minutes in the rain to get to campus, and I got a coffee. Because I was going to go, the class in a computer lab, I thought, I'll go early, I have an analysis that I'm trying to write up. And then my car didn't work, so I had to go all the way over to the building on the other end of campus to recharge it and get back. And so I have about an hour and a half to work, and then, the professor comes in to do class, and there's very few people there, and she goes, so by the way, I know that, Gary and Mark told you to come along to class, but if you're not doing qualitative analysis and you're not interested in qualitative analysis, you can just go. I'm all right with that. Because this professor is also a practicing clinical psychologist, so has a very, conversational, warm tone. I was like, seriously. And so, like, half the class backed up and left, so I texted this girl who was on her way. I'm like, don't even bother. So then I walked all the way home.
And I was still in bed because I tend to edit until about 6 in the morning.
And I was like, I'll get some more work done. Then you woke up, and we wanted to do a simple thing. You bank with one bank, I bank with another. We wanted to open a joint share or a joint account. We both have access to. We're married. We should do this. So in America, this would be an easy thing of just going in and being like, I already have an account. I want to open an extra share, things and stuff. 20 minutes tops. Holy shit, this became this whole entire, like, cavalcade of disasters. Because we go down, and your man, who basically looks, kind of as like a Northern Irish version of Alan Cumming in The High Life, except for working at a bank, not as an stewardess.
Dearly me.
Oh, dearly me. And he's like, has to keep going back to talk with his manager about it. So he finally comes out, he's like, yeah, we can do this, but we need a business reason for opening up a bank account, aka how are you going to pay for it? And I'm like, you mean pay for a bank account is basically a hole where you put things. I'm like, well, I have a student account, and my job direct deposits into it. And so he just wanted something that we could have a PayPal dump into, that we could both, like, take rent out of, you know. So he's like, yeah, well, since you bank with the other bank, then you just need to go and get a 6 months of your statements to make sure you're grand. So we're like, all right. So we went over to her bank, and they wanted £6 per month, so 36 quid. 36 pounds, which is something like about $41 to print this out. And I was like, you've got to be fucking kidding me.
$40 to $50.
Well, I'm not sure what the exchange rate is today. I mean, it depends what Theresa May said this morning.
Yeah.
But, like, and so I was like, no, none of this, because you are pretty sure you have it printed out at home anyway. And so your man was like, oh, come along back, and then, you know, you can set up an appointment. I'm like, no, this is bullshit. I'll just give you access to my account.
So, and then, you know, she spent 5 hours beating me, you know. It was a really busy day.
What? No, then we went to Tesco. We went to Tesco and
we bought the barbecue sauce. We're going to use it for barbecue, and then we discovered it smelled terrible and had too much sugar in it, and then we were crying. Terrible. And then I had to be all like, oh, we'll just use sweet and sour sauce, and there was more tears, and it exploded, and she hit me more.
It was really good, though. Like, none of them actually happened. No, this barbecue sauce that you wanted to get, I remind you, it just was quite sweet. It just tasted like ketchup on steroids. It had 5 different forms of sugar in it. And I was like, I'm not having...
It's a Scottish barbecue sauce right there.
No, it was like Kansas style. And I'm like...
Aye, I'm from Kansas, like. Oi.
I don't even know what that was about.
Yeah, Scottish. Kansas is actually in Scotland.
Okay. So we used sweet and sour sauce.
Ach, over the rainbow. Back to Kansas, Toto. There's no place like home.
Well... It's going to take a lot to drag me away from you. The kind of thing that 100 men or more could never do. You know?
I think she's making a reference I don't understand. This makes me afraid.
I miss the rains down in Africa. Africa by Toto? I'll play it for you later.
I've heard of the band Toto.
I'll play it for you later. But yeah, no, so we're going to make curry lasagna. And I was just like, no, I need to get my dissertation done.
So I was like, I'll cook. But
and it was really good. And then I made this like couscous chickpea thing, and it was grand. And
while I've been editing,
this is a really boring episode of our podcast. You know, how I learned where babies come from and what we had for dinner.
Yeah, but also we're getting our sort of
why I'm drinking tonight.
Our pithy comments about media. Because while I've been editing, while Omega's been around...
Oh, right.
I've been watching episodes of Zoo, which, if you haven't seen Zoo...
Which is another thing that Garvin was like, where have you been watching it? Because it's really crazy. I was like, Zara probably has.
It's basically if someone took Birdemic and turned it into a professional, proper American drama show. It's crap.
Like, I haven't been watching it. She'll be editing and she'll have it on, and I'll be in the kitchen doing something, or I'll be like, you know, doing an analysis in SPSS, and I just hear someone be like, we need to do something. But I don't trust you. But you should. But how can I trust you? But how can I trust you?
Why is there an elephant in the Brazilian rainforest?
We have to get the DNA. It's so
Let's lab shade this, even though we never explain it.
It's so obvious. This is one of the brain children of James Patterson. It's just so terrible. I want to be like, dude, leave sci-fi to the sci-fi writers, man.
Why are people turning into the Incredible Hulk? Why have Victorian scientists managed to create the saber-toothed tiger? Why is there an island where crazy all the animals are living? This series starts off with animals going...
What about really pathetic animals, like sloths? Are they, like, very slowly approaching?
Sloths give out this sort of call, which can cause earthquakes.
What?
Yeah. Basically, animals start mutating and start, you know, it's like they've got a hive mind to just try and kill humanity. And this happens in weird ways, like...
What about snails?
They didn't do snails.
No.
Like, sloths were causing earthquakes. Ants band together. This somehow creates electricity, which they use to electrocute people. This one woman was killed...
Electric ants? Electric ants sound like it would be... Does it sound like it would be, like, an 80s, like, you know... kind of like half disco, half like dance cover band.
Yeah.
They'd be playing at like Sandino's on 80s night. Like, come on down to Sandino's, Electric Ants will be playing.
This woman manages
DJ
to get killed because an ant she swallows an ant somehow and it electrocutes her from the inside.
That's not how that works. First of all, your body is full of electricity anyway, just FYI.
And then you've got like snakes have been destroying a vineyard by leaving pieces of their skin which somehow become like marbles, and they think it's like some red glass, and it's been strangling the vineyards to try and starve people.
But snakes are aware we don't eat grapes for a living, right? Eating grapes for a living should be the title of this episode.
Moles start digging underneath into foundations of building, which destroys buildings.
Okay, well that kind of thematically makes sense.
And you got domestic cats were all sitting together upside one tree. We don't know what they were doing.
Domestic cats need very little mutation to actually turn against humankind.
But we don't know what they were doing there.
Do you ever know what cats are up to?
They never established what the cats were doing there.
But the cats know.
The cats were all up a tree by a kid's sort of school. So the theory is that they were there.
It's like rats of Nim. They're learning to read.
They were sitting up there, ready to attack the children when they arrived.
Cats are like...
That's how it starts, doing random shit like animals, like rats suddenly developing the ability to be born pregnant, so they will constantly, reproduce like tribbles, so they can destroy buildings, basically by
what about animals that are already really deadly, like a moose?
Don't know about moose. But even the male rats are born pregnant. And
the octopus, like, they get the ability to, like, fly in the air and become, like, terrestrial
No,
air...
they didn't do that.
Pods.
There was a jellyfish involved though.
When I was little, I took a book out the library about poisonous jellyfish, and then I got really scared that a jellyfish would come out the toilet and sting my butt. I was in first grade. My mom was like, "What?" And I was like, "Well, jellyfish, a Portuguese man o' war, or the Australian box jelly, also known as the sea wasp, can stop an adult's heart with its neurotoxins in 1 minute. It will come out the toilet and sting my butt." Mom was like, "It will not come out the toilet and sting my butt." So for a while, I would only use public restrooms. This lasted like about a week.
Why would it?
I don't know.
Why would it not come out the public restroom?
I don't know. I was in first grade.
I assume first grade is American talk for I was 20.
I'm autistic. I have a weird brain. You already know this. I'm atypical. But
Anyway, Zoo starts off with the animals killing humans, and then it gets madder from there. Oh, Jesus Christ.
That's just the start.
Yeah.
Now I'm like trying to think of a different kind of animals. What about a koala? They have a venom though in their claws.
Yeah, I don't think koalas were involved.
The marsupials are the only animals that are friendly towards man.
There were a bunch of cicadas attack a small English town. No one told them that cicadas don't fucking exist in England.
They don't. It's too cold.
Yeah.
They couldn't survive.
Yeah. And then horses start attacking people too.
I can see that, because horses are actually, they're smart. They can pass the Rouge test.
So hilariously, the entire population of this small English town have all got together in the village hall.
What about the higher primates?
I don't think they know anything about them. But they all get together in this hall, and they're by the time the main characters arrive, the humans who live in the village, because they're all trapped there. So they get into the hall, and they're trying to stay awake, because the cicadas will sort of buzz really loudly and sort of,
They do, though.
wake them up.
They're in the Guinness Book of World Records, they're the loudest insect.
So it's even louder than it is in real life. But so in order to keep awake, they're watching films. So whenever the heroes arrive, they're watching Village of the Damned, the 1950s movie about the small English village under attack by these small blonde children, which I thought was pretty funny. But Jesus Christ!
So like badgers would become like militarized badgers.
Yeah.
Jihadi badgers who radicalized them. Oh.
The hive mind radicalized them.
Theresa May wants to know.
The most noteworthy thing about Zoo is that John Carpenter, John Carpenter did the theme music.
Well, maybe he needed the money.
No, he doesn't need the money.
What about pandas?
No sign of panda.
What about like real apex predators, like lions?
Oh, yeah. One of the main characters almost dies in the first episode because of a lion.
Okay, that at least makes sense.
The intro for the series has this guy, giving this really, really dry.
What about like really docile ones, like sheep?
A lot of docile ones, no sheep, but they do kill things. But the very start, you've got this voiceover, which is meant to be a dramatic voiceover, but it sounds so fucking bored. It sounds more bored than Harrison Ford doing voiceover in Blade Runner.
Wow.
And it's like, the animals attacked and no one noticed until they started killing people, and there's a team we put together to deal with this, and they list the people in the team. And then hilariously, one of the main characters dies, and they get a new character in there. They didn't bother to re-record the voiceover, or they didn't bother to record the new person at the same time as the other one, so it sounds totally different. It's like, my voice is like this. They're certainly like this for this one time. And I go back to this one, like I'm pretending as though it was done in one take.
There used to be a TV show, like a TV special that would come out like once a year called When Animals Attack. I remember it. I remember one of the clips was like So this is really disgusting, and I think it's really horrible, but this is a thing that happens, is in America, when you're deer hunting, especially white-tailed deer, you can actually buy female deer piss, like in a spray. Not for practical jokes, as you might think, but to spray on yourself. First of all, to mask your own scent, and second of all, to pheromones to attract the male deer to you so you can shoot them. And so basically, your man had put quite a bit of this on, and a buck, for some reason, lust crazed, it did not fuck him, but it was like beating the shit out of him. It was reared up, just beating the shit out of him with its front two paws, or claws, or hoofs, whatever they have. I mean, it's on YouTube, you can probably see. I just remember that guy be like, oh, fuck, and it was beeped out, like, the curse words, and I'm like, oh, that's gotta be some broken bones. Why did you cover yourself in deer piss?
I think that this is the animal piss sort of area, but it's a slight tangent. I think it's possible to buy a spray, it's artificial, but it's designed to smell like lion piss, and it's used in order to get domestic cats away from parts of your house.
That makes sense. Like, don't come here, a better predator lives.
A bigger cat will hit you.
Well, I used to have cat repellent, and it was made from some kind of vaguely vegetable citrus smell.
Yeah, they don't like citrus.
But they hated it, my two cats. They were like, no, I hate you. Why you sprayed the couch with it? It's too late, we clawed it anyway. And I was like, well, I miss those cats. I had a big fat cat called Kento, and a big fat black cat called Knox. And then I had a wee tuxedo kitten called Jaya. I remember when I was down in D.C. And I had a big orange tabby named Kippers.
Kippers was lovely. He was deeply angry.
He was a crotchety old man cat. But he liked to be sleeping always in such a way that one paw was touching me, for all his crotchety old manness. I adopted him from the Baltimore Feline Rescue, and I went to go pick him up, and got to talking with the girl who was fostering him, and his story was that he had been abandoned in the apartment complex. And they figured he was on his own for about a few days before this one woman was, going to work and noticed him sitting on her front step, and he decided, okay, you own me now, and went inside her house. And she was quite allergic, but she knew her neighbor fostered cats for feline rescue, so she's like, okay, well, gave him to the neighbor. So I'd gone over to pick him up. I had to pay a fee, and I had to sign some papers. And I had my the cat carried down and open, and he was running around playing with her black cat Ninja. I was like, all right, well, I better collect him up, and I don't know how I'm going to catch this cat up. And I look, and he is actually sitting in cat loaf position inside the carrier, like, okay, I'm yours now, let's go.
He was a lovely cat.
He was crotchety. Like, I like to pace around the flat when I'm on the phone, and he would always think it's a game, and so whenever he saw me do it, he would hide behind things and jump out and bite me.
Well, right now, if you come over to my parents' place, you get to play with Mary.
Yeah, that's true. Mary's lovely.
Mary is a very friendly cat.
He's a big fluffy cat, because I think he's got some Norwegian forest cat or Maine Coon or something in him. But, like, you pick him up and he just goes limp and he's like, "Hello."
Yeah. And, before Mary, I had a cat called Lady.
Who apparently was evil.
Who apparently was not very nice to everyone else, but tolerated me. But, she would hang around with next door neighbor's cats who were called Babs and Barney. And Barney was about as friendly as Mary, possibly more. And he since died. He died before Lady did.
Mm.
Yeah.
On that note,
cats.
That has been us. It has been Lesbian Talk episode 105.
And we're still debating over what kind of dog to get eventually. Today we were looking at pictures of spaniel crossbreeds with other dogs, and Omega is still very strongly of the opinion that we should get something hairless and at least
not hairless, just short-haired.
Well, I want a dog that's preferably smaller and fluffier.
No.
So please give your suggestions. My favorite kind of dog is a spaniel. What's your favorite?
I don't really have a favorite. I like dogs that have a snout that they look like dogful dogs. I don't like. Well, the brachycephalic dogs suffer, and I think it's wrong. So no pugs or like bulldogs or anything like that. But I would be fine with one of the terriers bred with a spaniel. Like a pity bred with a spaniel would get a slightly bigger dog, but I just don't like the wee little teeny ones because they have so many health problems.
Tiny dogs are like having a kitten that runs around and loves
With
you.
horrible health problems.
I don't want horrible health
Exactly. They want a genetically strong dog.
What if you get a Chihuahua and crossbreed it with a Scotty dog?
No, it will look weird.
It'll look awesome.
It will have the weirdest accent, though.
Like, Mexican, Scottish, that'd be great.
like haggis tacos.
That sounds amazing.
Actually, it really does.
That sounds like an episode you probably shouldn't cook this.
You know what? The next time we go over to... My brother-in-law has one of those big, huge freezers that they sell to farmers that you can put an entire cow in. And so the stuff that doesn't fit in our freezer, we have stored long-term. And I have 2 haggis in the freezer. So the next time we're over there, we'll bring home a haggis. And I'll make haggis tacos.
Because last time we made haggis macaroni cheese and it was awesome.
Well, we actually ended up being a cheesy pasta bake, quite honestly, because there were peppers and onions involved. It ended up a lot better than it had any right to be, quite honestly.
I figured it would probably be good, and it was.
Yeah. But that's us. That's been Lesbian Talk episode 105 or something. The next one will be pretty cool because it's Halloween on Monday, which is like the national holiday of Derry. Like, literally, the entirety of Western Europe empties into the city.
And Derry is, it was voted in 2015 as the world's greatest location to visit on Halloween. Beating out Transylvania and Salem and, what do you call it, Sleepy Hollow and whatever, Day of the Dead
and
ceremony,
the cool thing is Monday begins a reading week at uni. Basically means that nobody feels like doing anything. So you don't have class. So basically Monday is the first day in over 7 weeks that I have off from everything. No volunteering, no work, no uni. And it's Halloween. I'm going to wander around the town drinking and eating chips.
So what we could do on Monday, because we're going to be meeting up with John Ruddy from Channel Awesome.
He has a book coming out soon.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
He does the Irish animated history videos.
So watch it, because it's really good, actually.
And since apparently after Hangout and Halloween, he's going to be coming here, possibly to watch a film or something. But I suppose we could sit down and talk to him for like 20 minutes and use that as part of the next episode.
Yeah. Totally. If we're sober.
If we remember.
Alright. So that's been us. I have been the Omega, and honey, who do you have on tab being this week?
Iron Brew.
Alright, fair play.
I can't say anything else because I'm fizzing because I'm Iron Brew.